No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Shout out to the early birds, Steve-O, City by the Bay, Matthew, Ryan, Darren G, Matthew, Calvin Bowman, Nick Glavin. Thank you all for tuning in early. I am back after taking last week off. I have returned. So let's get into this Dynamite recap. We kicked off with a match, 8-man tag, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, who debuted on last week's show that I missed, Orange Cassidy, and Bandido versus the Jericho Appreciation Society. Now, going in, did not expect Roderick Strong to look weak in his first Dynamite match, and he did not look weak. He, in fact, looked strong. Chris Jericho was out there on commentary. Jericho was wearing the Britt Baker Black Eye t-shirt, which stirred up a bit of controversy. AEW is known for putting out t-shirts of just about anything. Some might say that this shirt not appropriate because a person who does not understand the context, a person who does not watch wrestling, just sees a woman with a black eye and wonders what the hell is wrong with that person wearing the shirt. But anyways, we're not talking about the shirt. We're talking about Dynamite. We had a standoff early on with all 8 men. We had a huge brawl erupt. You had Bandido doing a dive. Crowd was chanting AEW. And then the Jericho Appreciation Society took advantage. They slowed down the pace. But then Roderick Strong tagged in and did some strong things. He was taking out everybody, but eventually the numbers game caught up with Mr. Strong. And even a strong man like Roderick Strong needed some help. The other guys got in there, and eventually Adam Cole, baby, pinned, I think, Angelo Parker. I'm not even sure which 2.0 guy is which at this point after all this time. The one that's not the guy that has the hard nipples. So I think that's Angelo Parker. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, Cole pinned him with the last shot, and then Cole ran up the ramp and attacked Chris Jericho at the commentary desk. Security came out there to break them up because Adam Cole was out of control. Nice little start to the show. And then we had Darby Allin, Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, cutting a promo backstage to hype up the main event, a tag team match where if Darby and Perry were able to win, they would be added to the Double or Nothing main event, thus making it a 4-way match. As of this promo, the match was MJF versus Sammy Guevara because of what happened on last week's Dynamite. We also had Britt Baker backstage confronting Chris Jericho when she actually slapped him as Adam Cole was being escorted out of the building. We had a little backstage promo from the Blackpool Combat Club. Bryan Danielson making a reference to Bret Hart, saying that Bret Hart had an ego to say he was the best there ever would be. Bryan said he hopes that one day there will be people better in wrestling than the Blackpool Combat Club. Their goal is to make AEW the best place possible. Odd promo because it kind of sounds like a babyface promo to me, like they're trying to make AEW better, although you could argue, well, they're being insincere, but didn't really come off that way to me personally. And then Jon Moxley started hyping up the segment, or the match, I should say, coming up next week on Dynamite in Detroit, Steel Cage match. Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega. That should be a hell of a match. But In this promo, Moxley did not have very nice things to say about Omega, said that the Elite was important at one time, but 2019 might as well have been a decade ago. And he said that he's a new version of himself. Jon Moxley is a new version, and he is going to show that when he's in the cage with Omega, and he's going to leave one hell of a mark. We had Saraya versus Willow Nightingale with the Outcasts out there, and very basic match here. I mean, it's every match we've ever seen with the outside interference. You had Toni Storm and Ruby Soho interfering multiple times, and Willow would make the comeback and she'd be on the verge of winning, but then you'd once again have the interference. And for some reason, instead of just ignoring them, Willow had to bring Ruby Soho in the ring, take her out with the pounce, and then Saraya took advantage. Stupid babyface Willow Nightingale, and Saraya won with the good night finishing move. And after the match, they continued the attack. Hikaru Shida showed up with the kendo stick. We haven't seen her in a while. She ran out there, and then all of a sudden she hugged the Outcasts, which made no sense because she's an original. But then it was actually a swerve. It was a setup. You had the women's champion, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker getting in the ring, sneak attack on the Outcasts, 3-on-3. Outcasts were laid out, and they even spray painted the Outcasts with their own paint. So there you go. I will say they got me for a moment. I thought Shida was joining them, and I'm like, what are they doing here? But it was thankfully a double cross and part of a setup. But the match itself, very basic. We had a House of Black promo, and they're hyping up this new concept called the open house. Essentially, it's like Ravens rules back in WCW. They have their own set of rules. If any team wants to fight them, that's fine, but they have to abide by these rules, which includes a 20 count instead of a 10 count. What is this, Japan? And no rope breaks. So there you go. How about we get a match with House of Black on Dynamite? We had, speaking of House of Black, they are the Trios Tag Team Champions. We had a Trios Battle Royal. The Acclaimed were the last team out there. They did the rap, and it was pretty obvious that either them or Lucha Brothers and Vikingo were going to win this match. I think Lucha Brothers and Vikingo should have won it, quite frankly. Like, that would have been a hell of a match with them and House of Black. But they ended up being eliminated. You had Will Hobbs on fire for a while. He had the help of QT and Solo to eliminate the Lucha Brothers, and then he eliminated Vikingo. But then the Acclaimed worked together, and they eliminated Will Hobbs, and it came down to Bowens and Gunn. Caster had been eliminated against Butcher, Blade, and Kip. Butcher, Blade, and Kip Sabian are basically punching bags. So you know how this is ending. And eventually, Good Guys did get the win after double Famoussers, and then they threw both guys over at the same time after Blade had been eliminated. So yes, the Acclaimed apparently will be getting the next shot at the Trios Tag Team titles, I think. But I would have rather seen Lucha Brothers and Vikingo going up against House of Black at Double or Nothing. So maybe we'll get that match later down the line. We had MJF and Sammy Guevara backstage. A little bit heated between them. I guess there was an incident last week. I missed the show, or at least I missed that segment. I did see some of the highlights, but not whatever happened last week. And they basically made up, and they actually kissed. They literally kissed and made up. So there you go. They are truly BFFs forever. We had Kenny Omega cutting a promo, hyping up next week's cage match, and Don Callis was there with him, very angry about Moxley busting him open a couple weeks ago. Omega said he will make Moxley bleed. And Omega said that Moxley might bleed, make him bleed, but Moxley will not be the last one standing. And Moxley said that, I'm really screwing this part up. Omega said that Moxley made it personal and it's going to end in Detroit. Well, I really butchered that. Kenny Omega cut a promo and said that Jon Moxley might bleed, might make him bleed, but in the end, Omega will be the last one standing. And because Moxley made it personal, Omega is going to finish it at next week's Dynamite in Detroit. There, I got it correct the second go around. Second take. Can we start this over? Oh, we're live, pal. It is what it is. We had Wardlow winning a squash match, the TNT champion. They're trying to rebuild Wardlow. Don't really care that much at this point about Wardlow, unfortunately. But they're trying. They're going to try to rehab him. And he got on the mic afterwards and said he did not break a sweat. He called out Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. They came out there, and Christian revealed that it's not Luchasaurus that's getting the title shot, but it's Christian that's getting the title shot. I guess Wardlow gets at least one successful title defense here before he fights Luchasaurus, which I'm fine with. I mean, that should be Christian's role at this point, to put other people over. We had a little vignette with Jeff Jarrett's crew. They were on Mark Briscoe's farm, and Mark Briscoe's father tried to warn Mark to not associate with these guys. And then Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett officially challenged FTR for the tag team titles coming up at Double or Nothing. Segment was pretty entertaining. I still really don't know what's going on here, but it's fine. We had Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson with Jay White out there at ringside. Match was fine. They brawled around on the outside for a while. Juice ended up being slammed to the mat by Ricky Starks, who was standing on the steel steps. So Juice got slammed from the steel steps. And then after the break, it was back and forth for a bit. But eventually, Ricky Starks was able to pick up the win with the spear, followed by the Rochambeau. Big G has to be upset because there was no Jeff Jarrett there in the building unless he was there on Rampage. Maybe he was. I guess we'll have to find out soon when the live results come out for Rampage. After the match was over, Jay White attacked Ricky Starks, but Starks was able to fight him off. Don't really care about this storyline, to be totally honest with you guys. Just don't have any emotional investment in the Bullet Club guys. We had a video package hyping up the Firm Deletion match, which is airing on Rampage this Friday. As much as I love the Hardys, this is another storyline that I really don't care about because, as I've said before, I'm not really invested in Jeff Hardy being back. This is probably the best thing to do with him, though. Put him in a cinematic type of match for the time being. But yeah, they're throwing it on Rampage, so it's whatever. I really have no desire to watch it, quite frankly. Rampage is, very much a B show and going to be a C show once Collision starts. And it looks like they are getting rid of AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation, which, quite frankly, I think is the right move. You can have ROH be the developmental show and Rampage can be the show for some of the lower tier guys to get TV time. I don't think they need the dark and dark elevation shows. We had MJF coming into Jack Perry's locker room, basically trying to convince Jack to betray Darby Allin and offered Jack a spot next to the throne. Jack responded by saying he doesn't want a spot next to it. He wants the crown. And then Darby Allin came in, was upset that MJF was talking to Jack Perry. Which team could coexist? That was the hype for this main event. Then we had our final match of the evening, the tag team match. If Darby and Jungle Boy could somehow win, they would be added to the Double or Nothing main event. And early on, MJF and Sammy had to regroup. Sammy Guevara was providing a distraction, helped MJF gain the upper hand, and then Sammy started using the scarf. He had one of MJF's scarves, and he used the scarf as a weapon while the referee was distracted, but then Darby Allin turned the tables and used the scarf on Sammy, and they used it on MJF as well. Then Jungle Boy got the hot tag, came over the top with a couple of dives. Darby was back in, code red to Sammy, but MJF was able to counter the code red. And Jack Perry tagged back in, snare trap to MJF, but Sammy Guevara broke it up. MJF and Sammy were perhaps on the verge of winning the match, but they started arguing. Each guy was trying to score the pinfall for his team. It was all about the egos, and that ultimately led to their downfall. MJF lost his cool. He slapped Sammy. Sammy super kicked MJF. Jack Perry tagged in Darby, and Darby finished off Sammy with the coffin drop. So no surprise here. It is, in fact, the four-way match, the Four Pillars match, which we all knew was where it was going right from the beginning. After Revolution, when they started the build for this, they had to throw in a few detours and speed bumps to make us think it might go in a different direction. But ultimately, it's exactly where we were all thinking it was going to go. Overall, not a bad show, but this should have been on last week when I was unavailable. Like, this was a very skippable show, in my opinion. It wasn't bad, but nothing really blew me away watching this. Like, no really great must-see match, no really amazing promo. It was just decent. So I'm going a C+, which is pretty low for me with AEW. For the first week back, I was hoping for more, especially now that we're in May and Double or Nothing is coming. But next week's Detroit looks like it's going to be a big show, and I'm looking forward to that one. Now, Frogger303 sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Says, who do you think gets more heel heat from the wrestling fans, MJF or Dominic Mysterio? Well, a couple years ago, I would say MJF. And let me just say this right now. I think MJF is an overall better performer than Dominic Mysterio. Dominic's still improving, though. MJF is great, and on the mic, like, he's next level. There's very few guys that are on MJF's level on the microphone. But Dominic right now, as a heel character, right at this very moment, I think Dominic's getting more heat. Dominic, that character is really making an impact as far as being a heel goes. MJF, like, the thing about MJF is that people don't even want to boo him now. They want to cheer him. After last year, when he went out there in Los Angeles and called Tony Khan a mark, that was a turning point. Like, MJF got everybody on his side, and they did the little tease of the turn, but then he went back to being a heel. I think AEW's been fighting it. I've been saying this for months now. I think MJF as a heel right now is a mistake. And I think that that's a reason why this heel run and this title run right now feels a little bit flat, because they're fighting what the fans want. MJF should be a babyface versus a heel CM Punk. That's what I want to see. If CM Punk's coming back, I want to see the double turn. We had our CM Punk's a good guy and all that stuff. I want to see CM Punk like 2012 CM Punk. I want to see that CM Punk come back and let him play up the controversy. Like some people don't like CM Punk, so play up on that. Heel CM Punk versus babyface MJF. And MJF doesn't even have to be like a John Cena babyface. He's going to be an anti-hero. Like, he's like a Steve Austin. He can still go out there and be MJF and be obnoxious and be a jerk, but people will cheer him. Like, he's our jerk. So yeah, I think MJF right now is in the wrong role. Dominic, I mean, I'm loving it. The question is, can Dominic keep this momentum once this Rey Mysterio feud is over and Dominic's no longer calling out his dad for being a so-called deadbeat? Can Dominic still be a great heel past the Rey Mysterio storyline? That's the big question. But at the rate he's going, I mean, he's really growing. And like I said on the Raw recap, when Dominic was out there, like, his timing was on point. Like, he knew when to milk the crowd, when to speak, when to raise his voice. Like, he just has those instincts. I think he's doing a great job. And I think they're both great. So there you go. I'll just leave it at that. I think they're both awesome. So that's it, everybody. My thoughts on Dynamite. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, and please spread the word. Tell a friend. I know you have friends that watch WWE and AEW. Please have them check out this channel. Just share a link. Anything you can do is very much appreciated. Word of mouth can definitely go a long way. City by the Bay, one way or another, I will be recapping the show. Could be a different format next week. We'll see. Anyways, guys, I'm out for tonight. Thank you all very much. Much love and appreciation to all of you. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.